Hey guys, so today we are going to continue with our review working through Unit 3, population. So you guys reviewed population ecology yesterday a little bit, talking about R versus K selected species and also generalist versus specialist. Today we're going to be looking at survivorship curves and also reviewing carrying capacity. So just a reminder, survivorship curves, they're just a line that displays the relative survival rates of a cohort, which is just a group of individuals of the same age in a population from birth to the maximum age reached by any one cohort member. So there's types 1, type 2, and type 3 curves. So what this is showing you, our age is here on our x-axis, and our number of survivors are on our y. So here's where you are, when you're young. So we start off having a lot of young, and then as we follow the curve, this is just showing you how many individuals are still alive at that age group. Okay, so we've got type 1, type 2, and then type 3 curves. So they do vary for K versus R selected species. K selected species typically follow a type 1 or a type 2 curve, and then R selected species follow a type 3 curve. So remember, K selected species, those are humans, elephants. They put a lot of time in and effort in with their kids. They do have multiple children typically, and then also K selected species tend to live longer. So we follow those type 1 curves typically, with added parental care. K selected species will live a long time, and so you have more members of the population living to be older. On the other hand, R selected species like frogs and bugs that just kind of lay a bunch of eggs and don't put in a lot of parental care, you've got really quick die-offs because not all of those, tadpoles make it to maturity. Not all of those eggs develop. And so you have a pretty big die-off, so you don't see as many of those individuals living to an older age. So just to review, type 1, you've got more deaths at older ages, so humans, elephants, whales. Type 2 curves, you've got kind of an equal number of deaths at all ages, so birds, fish, jellyfish, rodents, and then typically prey animals. And what happens with that is that when you are being preyed upon, it doesn't necessarily matter what age you are. Predators are not selective in that sense, so you kind of see an equal amount at all ages. And then type 3, you have more deaths at younger ages, so frogs, oysters, turtles, bugs, things of that nature. Carrying capacity, so just to review, a carrying capacity is notated as K, and basically that's just how many individuals of a population can be supported based on the resources in an environment. When a population exceeds this carrying capacity, is called overshoot. And what that means is that they've been growing exponentially. They kind of surpass their carrying capacity, but then there's not enough resources to support the amount of individuals that are left. So what happens is there's a dieback, where you've got a rapid decline in the population and they come back underneath that carrying capacity. And then oftentimes populations will level out depending on how bad the overshoot was. So if we take a look at this graph here, we've got our time on our x-axis and then our population on our y. So the red dashed line here is going to be our carrying capacity. So this is just the amount of organisms within a region that the environment can support. Here's where our overshoot happens. So there was a lot of resources available. We had some exponential growth, and then we overshot our carrying capacity. So we experience a die-off, okay? And then our population dips below the carrying capacity. And once they're below the carrying capacity, there's enough resources left where they can kind of regain some of their numbers. And then it kind of happens. This is, remember, a boom and bust cycle. And there are some organisms that do go through boom and bust cycles pretty often. So just a few more things to wrap up. Population growth is going to be limited, so limiting factors. Basically availability of resources. Is there enough food to support these organisms? Is there enough habitat? What are the predators like around? And then resource availability and the total resource base are limited and finite over all scales of time. So resources are not limitless. Okay, populations do run out of resources, and so there are carrying capacities for all populations, even the human population. Now remember, when we talked about carrying capacity, we said that humans, we can raise our carrying capacity by lowering the carrying capacity of other organisms. So just keep that in mind. When the resources needed by a population for growth are abundant, population growth usually accelerates. So if you have plenty of resources, then typically we see a boom in that population. And then when resource base of a population shrinks, the increased potential for unequal distribution of resources will ultimately result in increased mortality. So you have more individuals dying. Decreased fecundity, that means reproduction. So you have a decrease in the amount of reproduction that's happening in a population. And then this typically results to a declining of their population and then dipping below that carrying capacity. This is what's happening when that overshoot occurs. So that's it for today. Not a lot. We are reviewing carrying capacity. It goes hand in hand with population. Remember I said that I was going to try to keep it chunked for you guys since you are not used to doing a lesson for me every single day. So I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and to the point. So what I need you guys to do now is go back into your Tuesday lesson. Find your carrying capacity assignment. So what you guys are going to be doing today is actually going to be graphing carrying capacity. And then there are some, it's kind of like an at-home mini lab. The numbers are going to be given to you. You're going to graph the carrying capacity of the individuals and read the background information. And then there are some questions, like lab analysis questions to answer. You can do that one of two ways. So the submission on Canvas is actually a file upload. So you can either take the picture of your graph and upload it, as well as writing your answers on a separate sheet of paper to upload it, or you can take a picture of your graph, put it into a Google Doc, and then answer the questions on the Google Doc and upload that file as well. It doesn't matter if you handwrite it and take a picture or do it separately in a Google Doc and upload it, or a Word document and upload it. It really doesn't matter to me either way, whatever you want to do, just as long as you do that file submission on that activity today. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know.